What's up guys, it's your host here, Confronting DxD, back with another high school DxD related video, and today folks, we're back with What If Issei Was Betrayed Part 4, and thank you so much for all the support this series is getting. I'm literally going to hit 9,000 subscribers today. It truly is a blessing, so this will be the special, or next video will be the special, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Chapter 7, New Recruit. As the trio entered the familiar forest, they were met with what they were expecting, a forest with familiars as far as their eyes could see. Now they just need to find out where the Chaos Karma Dragon resided. They were quickly ripped away and abruptly from their thoughts when a new voice spoke above them. "Who are you and why are you here?" It was a male voice. The three of them turned around to see the man in a white tank top with a yellow double-strap backpack on his back. He had a hat with red hair poking out of his front as well. This was the Zerator, the familiar master. "We have no quarrel with you, Master. We are only here to recruit the Chaos Karma Dragon Tiamat," Issei spoke aloud. Zatoju got a shocked expression real fast. In his mind, he didn't think anyone would be foolish enough to recruit the Dragon King Tiamat. Most of the people who tried before to get her as a familiar were turned to ash if they couldn't handle their own against her in a fight. "Who are you going to be so foolish enough to dare trying to recruit the Dragon King?" Zachetsu asked cautiously. "That is for me to know and for you to find out. Just point me in the right direction where she resides. I don't want to have to force it out of you," Issei said. And he raised his energy a little bit to prove his point. Seeing the sweat drop on the familiar's master's head made Issei smirk. The tactic of intimidation could work on wonders on the right people. "Very well. Just try to keep the destruction to a minimum. You'll find her in a cave at the edge of the forest in that direction," she said while pointing. "Thank you. We will be quick to leave," Issei said respectfully. And so the three of them walked off in the direction they were told to go. Soon a conversation started to brew between them. "When the fight starts, which it will be because dragons are the race of pride, she will not easily submit to me. You three better stay on the sidelines since there will be a lot of power being thrown around. A dragon versus a dragon king versus a dragon god will cause a lot of damage to the nearby areas," Issei spoke. "Right," Donasek replied. "What about our living arrangements? Once we get her on our side, I doubt she will like the idea of living in an abandoned church that well," Warner added. "You're right, Warner. She will not like it very well," Rainier added. "You guys are right. So that's why I'm going to ask someone to help us out," Issei spoke. "What do you have in mind?" Rainier asked, confused. "You could say she's a friend. Well, maybe not, but I believe she will help us," Issei replied vaguely. "She?" Rainier asked. She was a little jealous since so many girls were about to enter their lives. "Yes, she. There obviously will be a harem, Rainier. You'll need to learn how to share Ray like Warner said," Issei replied. "Ugh, fine," Rainier huffed. So the three continued on to the direction towards their goal. A transfer scene, and we're going to the Underworld. Far away from where the group currently was, the Underworld was in chaos. News traveled fast of Issei's return in the Council of Elders that included the three great Satans. Due to Serzek's injuries and the heads of the remaining 33 clans were having a meeting about what they could do. They were arrogant and snotty, thinking they stood a chance of defeating the new dragon god, when in reality he could wipe them off of the face of the earth with ease. "He needs to be punished," screamed one of the elders. What chance could we possibly have against a monster of that magnitude? If it is true that Bahamut has chosen him, it will be futile to anger him even more. We must approach him with caution," shouted another elder. "He still needs to be dealt with," shouted back to an elder. "What do you expect us to do? His power is far outclassed. Serzek's Lucifer was taken down with ease," another elder argued. "Silence," shouted a new voice. It was female. This turned out to be none other than Seraphal Leviathan. She was very upset at the news of Issei's return. What you all say is true. Though we must do something to counter him as best we can, the three factions are at the time at a peace for the better. The Chaos Brigade has appeared, and we must unite under these conditions to be able to stand a chance. Azazel has locked the Grigor down. Michael and the Seraphars are waiting for Issei to confront them," Seraphal argued. "So, still his power, it tops even Great Red," argued another elder. "Ever heard of the saying, 'The enemy of my enemy is my friend'?" Seraphal said with a grin. Scene break, we're in the Grigor. The Grigor was in the chaos as well. Just as Seraphal had said, Azazel had completely locked down with the guards at every point. No one in or out. Azazel thought he was safe, but he didn't know Issei would plow through all of them like they were cannon fodder. As Azazel sat down in his office, 2 bodyguards at the door, he thought he was safe from Issei's wrath, but oh boy, he was wrong. Suddenly the door burst open with the Grigor soldier coming in with a folder, most like all the information they could gather about Issei's new abilities. Azazel, sir, here's the information you requested, the soldier said. Thank you. You can return to your post now, Azazel replied. If Bahamut has truly chosen Issei as his next host, along with the boosted gear, he is now a force to be reckoned with. But he was dead. How did he possibly come back to life then, Azazel wondered, confused. Maybe the Well of Souls, Azazel thought. It can't be. Hades is supposed to have it under constant guard with the best of his men, Azazel thought, perplexed. Azazel then called for one of his subordinates to come fast. What do you need, Azazel-sama? The subordinate asked, confused. Make a contact with Hades, the god of the dead, and ask him the status of the Well of Souls, Azazel spoke. Yes, sir, the subordinate replied. Soon the subordinate left, and then Azazel turned his attention to a new problem that he was having trouble figuring out. The fallen angels that were with Issei and how their energy signatures were completely different from regular fallen angels. Could it be possible they were underwent a transformation to turn them into dragons? If so, just how powerful could they be now? Azazel thought, confused once again. There were so many questions that were unanswered. He didn't understand most of the things that were currently going on and what their next move would be. But he knew the world would never be the same. And we have another scene break, and we're going back to the familiar forest with Issei and the fucking gang. Issei and his group currently are still on their way towards Tiamat's cave. After about 10 minutes of walking, they finally came across a clearing where they could see a cave carved into the side of a mountain off in the distance. In Issei's mind, there was no doubt that was where Tiamat resided. Okay, I believe that's where the cave is, Issei said. Fits the description the familiar master gave us, and it looks big enough to hold a dragon, Warner added, not to mention the lack of familiars in the area. Survival of the fittest, show them who's alpha, Donaseek said. True, most of them got scared and hid, Rainier added. Here we go, Issei spoke as he walked forward. I suggest you guys find a place to watch the fight, as it will be good, Issei smirked. So the 3 of them fell back to watch the fight as Issei continued onwards toward the cave. Any ideas of what to expect, guys? Issei asked the dragons in his head. Even if you are a dragon god, Issei, she is still a dragon king. It will be a real fight. Since you used the sphere of annihilation on the barrier made from Orpheus's power, you will need to recharge your energy for a bit before you can release another one. Energy is not a constant thing in the world. It has and will always be a factor in a fight. Even you still won't be able to be completely outclassed, Bahamut explained. He is right, partner. Energy is a huge factor in a fight. For now, you should be able to get by with the balance breaker, Drake added. Okay then, Issei thought. In time, after your transformation into a real dragon god ends, you will be able to handle more without serious repercussions, Bahamut explained. So Issei walked forward with a plan in his head and a goal in his mind. He knew it wouldn't be a one-hit knockout fight. No, it would be a true fight. After all, Tiamat wasn't a dragon king for nothing. As he neared towards the entrance of the cave, he stopped for a second to try to sense anyone in the area. The only signatures he could feel were from his group and one signature deep inside the cave, and it was a powerful potent at that. So he went deeper and deeper to find her. As soon as he stepped into the cave, he knew this was the place. He could hear the rumbling sound deeper into the cave, so he trickled onwards deeper into it. Before he could get any deeper, he was suddenly stopped as he felt the pressure increase by a lot quickly. He indecisively put on his guard. He was in fact wandering in a dragon's den without it knowing. He suddenly brought out his thoughts abruptly when he heard a deep growl followed by a deep female groan. Who dares enter my cave? Tiamat growled angrily. Tiamat the Chaos Karma Dragon, I presume, Issei asked with a smirk. Who are you, boy? Do you have a death wish? Snarled Tiamat. My name is Issei hyoudou. And no, I came here for a friendly chat, Issei spoke. Now that annoyed Tiamat greatly. Before Issei knew it, he was hit by a large blue barbed tail, sending him flying out of the cave with Tiamat following him out. The group outside was extremely surprised when they saw Issei flying out of it, headfirst slamming into the ground. Issei! All 3 of them screamed. Then they were shocked as a hue-blued western dragon flew out of the cave and the circle over them hovering. I suggest you take that idiot and leave the forest before I roast you to ashes, Tiamat shouted. The 3 of them were shocked, sentinels, trembling in fear. They didn't move an inch. They thought Issei was out cold. That is until they heard chuckled followed by a roar of laughter coming from no other than Issei hyoudou. Ha, that was a good man, Tiamat, but I think it's time for me to get serious, Issei said. Boy, what chance do you think you possibly could have of winning a fight against me? Tiamat snarled. Oh, nothing except a few tricks up my sleeve, Issei equipped it back at a dragon. That's when a defiant call was heard across the forest, heading all in the nearby vicinity to witness its commanding power behind it once for all. Boost! The gauntlet called out. That very command that echoed throughout the forest and set Tiamat over the edge. Charging forward in fury, she aimed at the host of Drake. Drake! Tiamat rode in fury. Jesus, Drake, you weren't kidding when she said she hates your guts, Issei thought. No doubt. If you recruit her, she definitely will be trying to bang your brains out, Drake snotted. Issei quickly dodged a blue fireball that was thrown fast at him. He looked to the side of him to the grass burnt to crisp. Can't get hit by that fire. Even if I am a dragon, it'll still hurt like a bitch, Issei thought. He ran under her, forcing her to redirect her attacks. He took this moment to launch a counterattack. Dragon shot! Punching a ball of energy he sent shot hurtling towards the Dragon King, forcing her to dodge quickly as she scratched the surface of her wings. Damn you, Tiamat roared in fury. And then she charged head towards Issei, intending on landing a direct blow to him. As she neared him with her claws outstretched, aimed directly at him, she slashed and swung at him a few times, but he saw this coming. Drake boosted 10 times and put it all in my legs for speed boost, Issei spoke in his head. Right, Drake replied. Boost times 10. Now that surprised everyone. Now he was serious. They knew that now he was serious. Even Tiamat halted midair to look at how he changed in the boy. She was shocked when he released his wings, so that was his group, due to the fact that he had never seen his wings before. But Tiamat was focused on something else about the wings, the colors of it. Even if she was the Dragon King, she knew the colors were important. Every dragon had heard the myths of revolving around the Annihilation Dragon called daring gray and blood red wings, which was Issei's wings were exactly like. She gulped as she got a very bad feeling. Boost times 5. Yup, a very bad feeling indeed. She had a bad feeling of dread coming on. She knew what it was, but didn't want to dare say its name, for no one had more power than the monster of a dragon, and with those two words uttered by Issei would send her feelings overboard. Balance break, Issei spoke clear as the water for the whole world to hear. Welch dragon, balance breaker, chanted the gauntlet. As a bright crimson light filled the forest, blinding everyone around it, it began to condense into a sphere of energy swirling around Issei, glowing with power that everyone could tell this was a huge power-up. Tiamat quickly regretted antagonizing this beast of a dragon. As the light died down with Issei was in his scale mail, but it was different. Not the design of the pressure he was giving off was higher than normal, and his power was increased too. Dragon shot! Tiamat barely missed that shot that was fired. Banking right and defying was the only way she did. As she watched the shot go towards the mountain where her cave was, she feared the worst. As the shot neared the mountain, it continued forward, showing no signs of stopping or dissipating. Once it struck the mountain, the result was astonishing. One dragon shock took half the mountain out, and it was Tiamat's cave. She shuddered as she saw the explosion take half the mountain with it. She thought this would be her last day, but something happened that started to change her views. She was confused when Issei dropped out of Balance Breaker. Tiamat, I do not wish to fight you. There was a reason I came to seek you out, Issei asked suddenly. Tiamat didn't think this would happen. She didn't understand what exactly he wanted, but she could tell something was truthful. But what he was saying was truthful, so she halted her guard. Continue, Tiamat said cautiously. I'm sure you noticed that besides Drake and the boosted gear, I have something else, something ancient and powerful. You're a dragon after all, Issei spoke. That's when Tiamat's eyes widened. She didn't dare say his name. If it was true, this boy had him. He could annihilate anyone in his path. Just what did he want? That's what was running through her mind all at once. She dared to speak it, though. Bahamut? She spoke, but it was a whisper laced with grace terror. Her fears were correct when she saw him grin. I can see your worries. You don't have to fear me. In fact, I want you to join me, Issei was said with a smile. Explain, Tiamat said, shocked. You were correct when you thought Bahamut. You see, a little while ago I was betrayed by most of the 3 factions that I thought were my friends and loved ones. Long story short, I ended up purging my evil pieces and then I died. But Bahamut gave me a second chance, but it came at a cost. To put the dragons back on top and teach the 3 factions a lesson. Essentially, I'm creating a dragon faction. That's why I want you on my side. I'm going to be gathering more dragons from around the world, Issei explained. Tiamat was silent for a good bit, most likely thinking it over. It was better to get on his good side. Very well. I will join you, Issei, hyoudou, Tiamat said finally. That's when a blue light started glowing around her. Soon the light expanded and covered the whole entire forest, similar to how Issei is when he was set into Balance Breaker. Soon after the light died down, a 6-foot-tall woman took its place. She had a sphere of blue hair that flowed beautifully down her shoulders. She had a crystal clear ocean-colored eyes. She was wearing a brilliant light blue dress that flowed past her knees. She also had a diamond necklace wrapped around her neck. This was Tiamat in her human form. Even Issei couldn't deny her beauty. Rainier and Kalawarner felt a little jealous after seeing the dragon's true human form. As Issei stared at her a bit, he felt the endless wave of emotions that he didn't understand. He saw Tiamat smirking as she noticed him eyeing her like a piece of candy. Like what you see? Tiamat teased him. Bahamut, Dreg, what did I feel just now? Issei asked the dragon in his head. You just had a battle with a powerful opponent. Now she is on your side. Your dragon instincts are telling you to make her yours and your mate, Bahamut explained. He was amused as well. Issei groaned after hearing this. What he says is true. It continues to happen as it will worsen until it was resolved by the only way you can. That is the dragon blood in you calling out. Think of it like a heat phase, Drake added. Issei shook his head and decided to cross that bridge when that time came. After all, they were more pressing matters to deal with. Okay, guys. You know what to do now, Issei said to his group. Yes, replied Donasik. Fallen turned dragons, huh? Tiamat amused. Okay, Tiamat. Go with them to our temporary living quarters. I'm going to talk to a friend to help us out with a new place to stay. We did just get back from the afterlife. We took the Well of Souls and returned like a week ago, Issei explained. She nodded her head, and the four of them disappeared in a magic circle, headed back towards the church, leaving Issei to himself. He then focused on finding the right energy signature he was looking for, and he found it. He quickly made a magic circle and stepped through it. As he stepped out, he saw a big white mansion in a clearing of a forest, clearly off the map so no one would bother the residents. Issei started to walk towards the door and finally rung the doorbell after reaching it. The person who opened it was beyond shocked, clearly astonished by his appearance. Issei smirked and spoke, Vali, we need to talk, Issei said. Chapter 8, a new location and a message. The moment she saw him, and her eyes were wide into saucers as she looked at her rival. She was clearly not expecting him to show up at all. But here was a mere foot in front of her door. She had no idea what to expect. She could feel his power growling by the moment. She didn't know why. She didn't know why too. To her, she could feel the magic power in him build slowly but surely. She was composed herself and spoke. Hyoudou, why are you here? Vali asked, confused. She was also trembling inside like nothing she ever felt before, due to the fact he could obliterate everyone in her mansion if he wanted to, but something told her that he wasn't here for that. Vali, we need to talk, Issei responded casually. That surprised her. She didn't feel any lies or malice in his words, so she assumed he was here on friendly business, so she sighed and stepped inside and urged him to come in. He walked in normally and took a look around the mansion. He hadn't really had the chance to see it before. He looked around to see Kuroka, Leifei, Byoko, and Arthur looking at him suspiciously. He understood why they were on edge. No doubt the news of what happened traveled fast. It was only natural that they were a bit scared of him, of the defense, the moment he entered the room. He sighed and spoke to them. He needed to calm them down before he would explain what he was here for and what it would mean for them. You guys don't have to worry. I'm not here to harm you. Quite the opposite, actually, Issei spoke aloud. Once they heard that, they settled down a little bit, but their nerves were still on edge. They were also confused on the last part he said. Even Vali raised his eyebrows. She then spoke. Okay, what do you want? Vali asked. Issei sighed and sat down on the couch. He was standing by. The 5 others in the room sat as well, but their guard was still up. Okay, first things first. Do you guys know the full story? Issei asked. The 5 of them looked at each other quickly. They weren't expecting him to act like this. He was known as the perverted boy who could be serious about a lot of stuff. But Issei, they were standing in front of him, was completely different. They wondered what happened to cause such damage in the boy's personality. And since he asked if they knew the full story, they assumed it was worse than what the devil said. No, we don't really know the full story. We were told by the princess that you wanted to out of the purge and you died after they ejected them. But I'm gonna guess that was a lie, and it was different from what they said, Vali replied. Issei scoffed and accidentally let his power spike a bit, making Arthur and Byoko on edge while the 3 girls were blushing and panting. Issei saw this and quickly brought his power back down to scale. If only it was that easy. Hell no, it ain't. The truth is that I was only useful to them for a little while. After I saved that bitch of a princess from her arranged marriage and beat Kokaville, they decided they didn't need me anymore. Like I was a tool that they disposed of when it was old, Issei spat. Now the whole group's expression flipped, and their eyes went wide at his words. Now they understood why he was the way he was now. Vali still wondered about his new power. That's when I ejected my pieces and I died. I woke up in what you could call it purgatory. Bahamut brought me and gave me a choice to come back, but it was with a cost, and the three factions were in need of a reality check, and the dragon faction would be rebuilt, Issei explained. So how powerful are you? Kuroko suddenly asked. She had a playful grin on her face. Everyone else had that question in their heads. Issei did, an eyebrow raised for a moment before he spoke. Bahamut stands above Orpheus and Great Red. Combined with Drag, it is just more like Albion said before. My power is beyond... But even those two could give me trouble. If Ortavortis and the Red were to come at me, I would have a problem. Even Great Red could be for me alone. Most of my power will soon settle, so I can use it better, Issei explained. He was silent for a moment to let that sink into their minds. All their eyes widened as they understood what he meant. They were standing in front of the most powerful being, but he wasn't attacking, so they were just they were a little calm in front of him. Byoko then suddenly spoke. So what do you want? Byoko asked. He had a little edge in his tone. Issei sighed and stood up and looked at each one of them in their eyes. For the next sentence he uttered would open the door for them, but they would have to accept it on their own. He couldn't force them, and he wouldn't. As their eyes met each other, he felt a nervousness behind each locked gaze they had. I came here for a proposition for you guys. It's your choice to accept it or not, Issei explained. Their eyebrows raised as they wondered what he was going to offer. Issei turned to Vali and spoke. What I have to offer is, you guys become part of my group. In exchange, you let us move in. You see, I'm running out of time, and I need a solution before it happens, Issei spoke. What do you mean? And who all is with you? Vali asked curiously. Everyone else was wondering that too. Was something else going on behind the scenes that they didn't know? If so, what was it and why? Vali's question also sparked some thinking between the group as well. If she accepted his offer, who would be moving in with them? For they didn't know and would have to wait for it to be revealed. Currently, I have Tiamat the Dragon King and 3 fallen angels with me, Rainier, Kal, Warner, and Donosik. About it. Well, let's just say my body is currently undergoing an evolution, Issei spoke. That's putting it lightly, partner. Drake suddenly spoke aloud. The whole group was surprised that the Welsh dragon's voice rang out of the green light that appeared on Issei's hand. Drag, Issei muttered. The Welsh dragon, Byoko muttered. Makes me hot, Naya Kuroko purred with a slight blush while rubbing her legs. Red one, Albion spoke aloud, letting them know his presence. Vali turned around to see her dividing wings release. She was confused, but in her mind was something else entirely. What did it mean by the evolution, and why did Drake say that he was putting it lightly? For all 3 of these questions, she would never have them answered. What is this evolution you're going through? Vali asked. The rest of them wanted to know that too. Issei was about to speak before a blood-red light appeared in his right hand, illuminating the room with all quite of amount of pressure. Bahamut spoke with each word packed with power. Issei is going through a special kind of evolution. His body is adapting to his new power, literally. He is going through, you could say, stage 2 of the 4 stages of his evolution. At first, his energy reserves need to increase, which they did, as you can tell. Next is his senses will evolve, become exponentially more powerful. Then his body will literally rip itself apart as it rebuilds every part of his body into that of a dragon. Finally, he will go into a full dragon form before reverting back to his human form. Bahamut spoke, each word laced with power that flowed through the room as he spoke aloud. They were not expecting Bahamut to speak, and when they felt shivers like nothing they ever felt before crawled down their spines as each word flowed out of him. So that's the evolution you're going through, Vali muttered. Yes, now you see the situation. I need a place to stay, and you were the first person that came to mind. You see, I have a feeling it won't be easy just to rise to the top. I need allies, people who can hold their own against a tough foe, Issei spoke. The whole group was silent about this before anyone spoke up. Vali was clearly surprised at what she was told. She had no idea what she was going to do right now. She was truly saddened by the new information her group had received firsthand by Issei. Everyone else felt the same as well. Even anger was rising in the girls, especially Kuroko. She always thought Sharon wouldn't have the heart for betraying and leaving someone alone. So what do you guys say? Want to work together and rise to the top? Issei asked with a grin. Hook, line, and a sinker. Instantly, all of their heads nodded. They knew it would be different. All right, we accept your offer, Vali replied. Great, okay, I will go grab my group and we'll be back here shortly, Issei spoke before standing up. Okay then, we will see you when you come back. Vali waved bye as they walk out of the mansion. As he left, a conversation started to brew among the 5 of them at the mansion. To think that he went through all of that and he's still going headstrong. I can see why Bahamut chose him. To have such a strong will after a harsh revelation, Byoko spoke up. No doubt. I didn't think my sister Shirone had it in her to be that cruel, Kuroka added seriously. She didn't even use her trademark, Naya, at the end. And he is completely serious about his goals as well. You could see the fire and determination in his eyes. I can tell he won't stop until it's done, Vali added. No doubt. At first when I saw him I didn't really think much of him, but I could tell he would do anything for his friends and family, even going to hell and back, now that he had a goal and a reason that will keep reminding him until the day he finishes what he needs to do, Byoko added. I wonder about his group though. Tiamat, Astral, Dragon King, and 3 fallen angels, Arthur added. We will see them when they get here, Lifo spoke up. She is right. We will need to meet them when they get here, Kuroka spoke. Hopefully they're strong, Vali muttered. She really wanted to spar against Issei and his group. There is no doubt in my mind they are strong. If they came back from hell, they had to be able to hold their own, Arthur said. But how did he come back from hell, Lafai asked. She had never heard of anyone coming back from the land of the dead. There is a legend that there is a place in the Hades realm. It's called the Well of Souls. It is supposedly linked between the 2 worlds. If someone were to enter the well, they would come back to the world of the living. If he did go through that, then his group is strong. Rumor is that it is guarded by some of Hades' strongest minions, Arthur spoke. I have heard of that legend as well. Azazel had a ton of his books. And it was one of them, Vali mused. As the group continued to talk about Issei and his new group, they wondered how it would end up, but they knew there was no going back. Scene break, now we're back to Issei's location. As Issei teleported back to Ko, he arrived right in front of the church. He felt 4 energy signatures from inside the church. He didn't know why. He could sense the energies around he could feel it as well of each pulse of power emanating from them. That's your senses starting to evolve. Usually it is energy detection that increases first, then your normal sensors after it. Hearing, sight, and the others. Bahamut spoke in his mind, answering the question. Bahamut, about my evolution. The final part where you said I will go through a full dragon form and revert back to human. Will it happen as soon as I wake up from my slumber? Issei asked, confused. No, it won't happen right after you awake from your slumber. Once your body is changed from the 3rd stage, it will take a couple of hours required energy to build up and the transformation can start, Bahamut answered him. With that, Issei nodded and walked towards the church's doors. As he opened it up, he was met with 4 curious looks. So, this is where you guys stay? Tiamat spoke. She was laughing out loud. So did you get a better place? Warner asked. Yes, I did, Issei replied happily. He was happy to get out of the church. Where? Tiamat asked curiously. Everyone else was wondering the same. My rival, Vali Lucifer, happens to have a mansion that we can use. Her group will join ours, Issei replied. Did you say Lucifer? Tiamat asked seriously. Lucifer? As in Lucifer? Donasik asked astonished. Yes, Lucifer. Or Lucifer, my bad. She is the granddaughter of the super devil Revi Lavin Lucifer, and the host of the Vanishing Dragon, Issei replied. To think someone with the bloodline would have Albion. Wait, that means she is half-breed, Rainer asked curiously. Yes, she is. And you know how the devils are about purebloods. Hence she didn't get along with her grandfather, Issei replied. They all nodded. Everyone in the supernatural world knew how stuck up and stubborn the devils were about the heritage and purebloods. So let's go already. I want to get out of this dump, Donasik spoke. Everyone else wanted to get out as well. Issei smiled and nodded and started to make a transport circuit. Soon the 5 of them jumped in it, leaving the church forever. As they appeared in front of the mansion, they were astonished at the size of the building they would be staying in. You weren't kidding when you said she had a big mansion, Donasik muttered. What do you expect? She is a Lucifer. Tiamat spoke. That's when the door opened, revealing Vali and her group, who were looking at the people Issei brought. So this is them, Vali asked. Yes, Tiamat the Chaos Karma Dragon King, Rainer, Kalawarna, and Donasik, Issei replied. There was something bothering Vali. The 3 fallen angels had an unmistakable scent of dragon. Are they part dragon? Vali asked, confused. Yes, I turned them into a dragon, Issei replied. How? Kuroka asked curiously. No one had any idea how he did it, not even Vali. That's when Bahamut spoke. It is called Dragon's Essence. You could say it is the life force of a dragon. I drew it out of my new host to turn them into dragons, Bahamut explained. Once everyone heard his voice, they flinched. Even Tiamat didn't expect the Annihilation Dragon God would speak to them, but she was wrong. But she still felt the power that etched into the voice coming out of his right hand. Everyone else could feel it as well. Alright, you guys settle in. I have some business to attend to, Issei spoke. What business? Rayer asked. The whole group was wondering the exact same thing as they all looked at Issei for an answer. I'm gonna pay a visit to Azazel and teach him a lesson, Issei spoke with hatred in his voice. Now that surprised everyone. He was already focusing and sending the three factions a message. Azazel would be the one who would deliver it if they didn't know. What are you going to do? Vali asked curiously. She still liked Azazel a lot, since he was pretty much a second father to her. Don't worry, I'm not going to kill him. Just giving him a warning shot, Issei said vaguely. Okay then, hurry up and come back, since the moment you enter the Grog, they will know who you are and what you are there for. No doubt it will spread like a wildfire, Vali spoke. Issei nodded and teleported away. He found himself standing in front of an old rundown town. It was definitely the Grog headquarters, even if it didn't look like it. So he walked up to the door, but was stopped by a guard above him on his post. Halt right there! This is a private property. Turn around and you will not be harmed, he said. That made Issei scoff, and he summoned a small spear of annihilation and threw it at the door, blowing it up in front of the building. Issei walked in and calmly spoke. I have no quarrel with you people. I am only here for your boss Azazel, who made a very bad decision, and now he must pay, Issei spoke. But they weren't moving. That's when a few career classes tried to attack him. Issei saw this coming, quickly dodged and punched each one of them in the gut, incapacitating them. After the display, no one dared move. Issei walked forwards where Azazel was. No one dared to try to stop him. The moment he arrived to the door in his office, he kicked it open, revealing a very shocked and troubled Azazel. You know, you could have avoided this if you just told me what the others were planning. But no, you had to leave me in the dark wondering what was going on, only to be thrown out by the people I thought cared about me. Now your time has come, Azazel, Issei spoke powerfully. Issei, please! I'm sorry, Azazel pleaded. I don't give two shits about your excuses, Issei spoke. He then grabbed him by the neck and lifted him in the air. Drag 20 times boost and put it in my legs, Issei spoke. It told the dragon in his head. Roger that, Jake replied. Azazel was now beyond fear. He was completely terrified of Issei's new power. He was going to experience it firsthand and what would happen to the others who deceived him. Boost times 20. As soon as the defying call was echoed throughout the room, Azazel knew it was no use. There was no way to stop him. He would do what he wanted. It wouldn't take shit anymore from anyone. He feared for his life, but little did he know Issei wasn't going to kill him. That's when a 20-fold powered kick was sent right into Azazel's balls. As Issei dropped him, Azazel fell into the floor with agony. He never felt that much pain before. Issei snared down at the fallen man, having no regrets, and he walked out of the office, leaving the Grigor in a complete chaos. Issei thought about what he would do to it, what to do about heaven. He didn't really have any beef with them, but they still needed to be dealt with. He looked up into the sky, wondering what the future held for him and his new group. Chapter 9. Enemies Gathering and Testing Limits. Part 1. The Grigor was currently in utter chaos and after the aftermath of Issei's attack. Azazel laid unconscious on the bed from the pain from Issei's kick to the groin. He had been like that for 2 days. Shemahazi and Barkil had currently been watching him for signs of him waking up. They start to have a conversation on what they were going to do about the new threat arising. How is he? Barkil asked. He is doing better than I expected. He should wake up soon. That hyoudou did a real number on him, Shamal replied. Yeah, he did, Barkil muttered sadly. That's when both of them were interrupted as a matchless circle appeared behind them. It was blue and had Leviathan crest. Coming out of it was Seraphal and her sister's Purge, along with Sir Zex, who had managed to heal enough to where he could stand. He had brought Grafia and his sister's Purge. They were all about Issei's attack on the Grigor and came over as soon as they could. They honestly expected the building to be gone and all of the fallen to be vaporized, but what they saw was the opposite, which made them wonder what his plans were. How is he? Seraphal asked as he walked up to the bed and looked at the leader of the fallen angels. Currently unconscious. We suspect he will wake up soon, Shemazi spoke up. This changes things now. Issei has grown, he isn't afraid to do what it takes, and we're his main targets, Sir Zex muttered while thinking. I think we need to hold another meeting between the three factions and about him, Seraphal spoke up. Everyone in the room agreed on that. They needed a plan before it was too late. Brother, what could we do possibly about him? You saw how powerful he was when the Chaos Brigade attacked, Rhea spoke up. Everyone was at a loss for words. They knew she was right. They all saddened as they realized they had barely any hope to defeat him and his new group that was growing every day. But that didn't stop them from trying. We may have a chance. If we can't take out the leader, we can take out his forces. If we band together, we may be able to diminish his power somewhat, Seraphal spoke up. Everyone's eyes widened as they witnessed Seraphal start to take a charge. Simal spoke up after that. Once Azazel wakes up, I will inform him of the meeting that needs to take place. Until then, I suggest we stay under the radar and not make any more mistakes that will anger hyoudou, Shimon spoke up. Yes, that is what needs to be done, Seraphal mused. She didn't want to have a run-in with hyoudou right now. That was the last thing she needed. Seraphal, we need to hold another meeting between the elders. We need to get all of our assets accounted for. We may have a war on our hands, Zek spoke up. Yes, you're absolutely right, Seraphal replied. After they all dispersed back to their respective duties and prepared for the inevitable war that was coming their way. Scene break, now we're currently back with Issei's group. Currently, everyone with Issei in a separate dimension that Issei made so they can spar and go all out without destroying everything around them. He learned it from Bahamut, who told them it was the same magic as the devils used in the raiding game. Issei wanted everyone to spar with a partner. He didn't want who it was. As long as you had a partner to train with each other. My bad. The current lineups, Issei vs Vali, Rainier vs Kuroka, Donaseek vs Baekyu, and Kala Warner vs Lefay, and Tiamat vs Arthur. To Issei, the matches were pretty good. Each one had a pretty good opponent who would push each other to their max limits and make them grow stronger. Everyone now stood on the sidelines as they watched Issei and Vali start their match. I'll give you a handicap. I won't use any of Bahamut's abilities against you unless you want to, Issei said with a smirk. No, I'll be fine. I think I can stand up somewhat, Vali replied back with her smirk. Very well, Issei replied back. Everyone was in awe how they were going all out. They stepped back for a good measure as the fight was going to be intense. Vali quickly started off by dashing towards Issei, who was standing still. She feinted a kick and went for a right uppercut, which managed to connect. Issei was surprised at her base speed, as was at Issei's base speed as well. How do you like that one? Vali taunted. Very good. Speed is impressive, but I think it's time to really get started, Issei replied back. Vali nodded and summoned her divine dividing gear. Her blue wings came out as quickly as she nodded. Issei grinned at seeing the vanishing dragon's sacred gear. He returned gesture and summoned his boosted gear. Everyone knew it was really starting now. Boost times 5. Everyone's eyes widened once again as they felt the power of Issei. It was obvious he wasn't kidding when he said he was about the most powerful being. They wondered what his plan was, since he went straight for 5 boosts and not 1. It was obvious in their minds he was going to start to get serious about the fight. They suddenly ripped from their thoughts as Issei vanished. They all watched around them to see where he'd gone. He then reappeared in front of Vali, who was shocked at his speed. Before she could do anything, he disappeared again. The time he appeared behind her and did a sweep right off of her feet. He disappeared again, but this time he heard something above. Boost times 3. Everyone watched as he increased his power even more. They saw a small sphere of crimson energy from his palm. Dragon shot, he spoke aloud, punched the sphere of energy. The dragon shot came hurtling towards down Vali, who barely had enough time to register what was coming her way. She quickly rolled out of the way, just barely avoiding the blast as she launched the debris everywhere. Vali got up and prepared to counter an assault about that Issei was probably about to launch. Albion, is there any way to possibly match his power? Vali asked her dragon. Vali, when I told you that there was a dragon extremely powerful, I wasn't kidding around. As it stands, we're outrageously outclassed. You may be able to show him down a bit, but there is no chance of winning this battle. There is some stuff you might be able to try even the odds a bit, but you are a Lucifer. Your blood is that of someone who has the potential to be a devil. You can claim a huge amount of demonic power. It is your birthright. Other than that, divide and use Balance Breaker and any other abilities of mine to help, Albion spoke in her head. Vali cursed as she realized how powerful Issei really was now. She knew it would be a tough fight, but she didn't think that she would get her ass handed to her. With the options slowly vanishing, she quickly decided to do what to do. Vanishing Dragon, Balance Breaker. A bright white flash covered the whole area as Vali darned her balance breaker. Issei grinned as she saw the white armor covered his rival. He started once again on his attacks. Issei vanished once again, but Vali anticipated him using his speed again. She quickly set an elbow her and successfully struck him in the gut, sending him skidding in the back. Then proceeded to use one of her abilities, Divide. Issei felt a part of his energy fade away as it went to Vali. He cursed as he forgot about Divine Dividing Gear. He knew that he couldn't be hit by her, and she would have half of his power and make it hers. He decided to do what it was time and up it a notch. I'm surprised, Vali, you're able to match my speed. I really am. But I'm not done yet, Issei shouted. I expected nothing less from you, my rival, Vali recorded with a smirk. Welch Dragon, balance breaker. After he shouted that, the crimson energy started to form around him and formed a sphere. They couldn't see what was inside of it. Vali was shocked that she already seen Issei's balance breaker, but this was different. It was more powerful than she last saw. Everyone realized that as well. They wondered how much power he intended to release. Soon the energy sphere started to condense, and soon it faded away, revealing his balance breaker, but it was different. Not the power of what the look it wasn't what they seen. The crimson had suddenly changed to a blood red, and the outline was a sharp gray with a crimson glow surrounding the armor. This was his new balance breaker. Even Issei was surprised as he looked at his balance breaker. Drake, Bahamut, what happened to my balance breaker? Issei asked his dragons. It is something to do with Bahamut's influence, Drake replied. This is the result of you getting my power. It has merged with Drake somewhat. What was effect was your balance breaker and Juggernaut Drive. Both of them were imbued with my power, effectively making them extremely powerful, Bahamut explained. I'll call it Welt's Annihilation Dragon Balance Breaker, Issei thought. A fitting name for a powerful balance breaker, Drake mused. Vali grinned and took a stance. Issei was surprised she still wanted to fight, but nevertheless, he mentioned for her to come. She dashed once again, but stopped a few feet in front of Issei. He was surprised at her sudden stop. He wondered what she was planning. He quickly put his guard up as she felt her energy rise. Half dimension! Issei was not expecting this at all. He quickly felt his emitted power being drained. He needed to do something quickly before it was too late. Boost times 15. Everyone was shocked as they saw him boost once again. They knew he was slowly being stripped of his power, but they didn't know he could give her more. But they didn't know why he boosted. Boost times 15 again. They started to back up as they felt energy rise even more, but Vali continued to press, but something was not right about it. Explosion! That command sent everything into chaos, instantly shattering that half dimension and blowing apart Vali and Issei's armor. The match was officially over, Issei as the winner. Well, that was a good try there, Vali. You had me cornered for a good bit, Issei said. Should have expected you to win, Vali muttered. She then walked up to Issei. Issei wondered what she was planning. This is your reward for winning, she said. Then she smashed her lips forcefully against his and heated in a makeout session. Everyone smirked at seeing Vali do it. Issei was surprised at the first, but nevertheless reciprocated the kiss. Vali pulled away with a smirk. Issei had on his grin on his face. He spoke up. Okay, Rainier and Kuroka, you're up, he spoke aloud. Rainier had a scowl on. It seemed that she didn't like the idea of sharing Issei, but she couldn't complain that there were more than 5 people in the harem, and would only grow as he attracted more people to his group. She stepped along with Kuroka, who was smiling. She knew that she was at a disadvantage since Rainier had the ability to use light, but that didn't stop her from trying. You ready? Kuroka grinned. Bring it, Rainier replied. Kuroka quickly dashed towards Rainier with a cocked back fist coated with senjutsu energy. It seemed like she was going to hit her target, but as she closed in on Rainier, she was quickly blocked by her crossed light daggers that Rainier had formed. Once her fist connected with daggers, Kuroka quickly backed up after feeling the power that those light weapons that were able to severely damage devils. She needed to avoid being hit by those. She needed a plan. Should have expected to run into an obstacle, she muttered lowly, but it was enough for everyone to hear it. Everyone's eyes widened as her power started to rise. She was quickly in her Neshoku form, which added even more power. They wondered what she was going to try. She quickly fired off several energy blasts towards Rainier, who dashed backwards and dodged a couple of them, but one hit her leg. Shit, Rainier muttered. She was kneeling on the ground, catching her breath. Rainier had enough. She stood up and released her wings. Everyone was surprised at her wings. Instead of 1 pair, she had 3 pairs, totaling 6 wings on her back. Issei was proud at seeing how far she had grown. She quickly dashed forwards and formed her light daggers once again, but this time she threw them at Kuroka, who dodged them easily, but didn't see the spear coming her way in time. It was too late once she did notice. The only thing that she could do, use her senjutsu from a protective layer around her to help cushion the blow from the hit. The sphere hit directly in her protective layer, pushing her backwards as her sphere started to dissipate. She quickly dispelled the energy around her as she avoided a fairly dangerous sphere and aimed for her. She dashed once again with her fist charged with energy, but stopped shortly before Rainier. Kuroka then proceeded to smash her fist on the ground, causing quite a bit of amount of debris and dust. Rainier couldn't see, neither could Kuroka, but she Fuji used Senjutsu to find Rainier and tackle her on the ground. Holding a fist cocked back with a ton of energy, she spoke up. "Do you yield?" Kuroka spoke up. Rainier was shocked at how she was beaten. She had no choice but to comply. "Yes," she said weakly. Kuroka then stood up with Rainier up and helped Rainier up, and both of them walked back to the side, finishing their match and then waiting for the next one. And that is the end of chapter 9. This will be where I would stop. I read 3 chapters this time, so I don't know how long this is going to be. It's probably 40 minutes plus. But thank you guys again for all the support. I really do appreciate it. Like, it's truly a blessing seeing all the subscriber growth and views, and it makes me, like, fucking, I don't know. It's just awesome. So, again, thank you for all the support. This story is down in the description below. I did not make it. I will try to finish it, though. So, hopefully you guys, again, did enjoy the video. If you did, like, subscribe, and comment for more. And without further ado, Spartanic out. Peace.